So before Constantinople, before the chaos and bloodshed that made him emperor, before God started sending him messages, Constantine met Minervina, a young girl from Antioch, and they fell in love. The happy couple had a healthy boy named Crispus around 303 AD, who was disappointingly not crispy. This is where Minervina disappears from the records, and in an era where 1 in 16 women died in childbirth, it isn't difficult to guess why. This left Constantine with a newborn son and a burning ambition that didn't appear to be present before, and within a few years he would be Augustus and be waging wars for control of the Roman Empire. He keeps Crispus by his side the entire time, even after he marries Fausta, the daughter of Maximian, and they start pumping out kids. Crispus grows up to be every bit the man his father was, brilliant leader of men, excellent commander, and a brave soldier loved by the masses, minus all the divine revelations and all that though. Crispus is made Caesar and entrusted with governing Gaul, where he wins victory after victory against the Franks and Alemanni, securing one of Rome's most volatile borders. When his father went to war with Licinius for control of the empire, it's young Crispus that utterly destroys the twice larger fleet of the enemy in the Hellespont, and hands his father victory, and afterwards has his face plastered across the empire on coins, statues and mosaics. He is described as an emperor beloved of God. It seems that on Constantine's death, power would peacefully transfer to a loyal and capable leader. Rome would finally have the stability it so desperately craved. So why isn't Emperor Crispus in our history books? Where is Crispus the Great? Let's find out. So the Council of Nicaea has just finished up and Constantine has celebrated his Vicinalia in Nicomedia. Not Nicaea, which I accidentally said in the last video, so whoops. The thing is that Vicinalias are supposed to be celebrated in Rome. So in January 326, Constantine just packs up and sets off on holiday to Rome with his family. And just like a normal family holiday, people started dying pretty quickly. And around February, Constantine has his son, Crispus, arrested and later murdered in Pula, which is here. And shortly after, he has his wife Fausta murdered too, by boiling her alive in a bath, which is that's just rough. No. Obviously the first question here is, what the hell happened? Like, why was this done? Crispus was Constantine's beloved firstborn son, and it looked like Constantine was hoping that he would succeed him, and that Fausta, while she was his second wife and he married her for political reasons, they did have 5 kids together. And Constantine had given her the title of Augusta, which he also gave to his mother, so there isn't any obvious animosity between them that we can see. After looking at all the sources on this event, there are 3 possible reasons: dynastic, lust, and what I like to call the soap opera theory. Let's start with dynastic. Crispus was a dynastic threat to the children of Constantine and Fausta, so either Constantine or Fausta wanted to be rid of him to secure the throne for their other children, or Fausta wanted him dead in order to avoid a bloody power struggle after Constantine's death. The second reason is lust. Sources say that Fausta made some moves on Crispus, which he rejected, but she then goes and lies to Constantine, saying that it was Crispus that forced himself on her. Constantine then goes into a blind rage and has his son killed. Afterwards, his mother Helena informs Constantine that his wife might have lied to him there, and so he has Fausta killed too. Then we have the soap opera theory. This theory has some dark subject matter, so if you're uncomfortable with adult themes and violence, please skip this part. There's a timestamp in the description. Okay, so this theory assumes that Fausta and Crispus were actually having an affair, and in all honesty, they were about 4 years apart in age, grew up together, and they spent a lot of time together, so it isn't completely crazy. This affair, however, results in Fausta becoming pregnant, which starts rumours as Constantine has been away from her for a bit too long for it to have been him. So when he finds out, he interrogates her, and she reveals that it's Crispus that is the father of her child, and Constantine has his son exiled, but not killed. You see, Pula, where Crispus dies, is near the islands where people were exiled for crimes around that period. We have sources that claim that Crispus died from poisoning, which was not an official method of execution, so it has been theorized that Crispus killed himself with poison while exiled at Pula awaiting trial. Then we have Fausta, who is now pregnant with a child that could possibly have a claim on the throne, and Constantine cannot have this. So he uses his mother Helena to pressure Fausta into getting rid of the baby. How would a woman in ancient Rome do this? Well, one method was a hot bath. Sadly, this method was usually lethal to both mother and child. So the distressed and pressured Fausta tries to terminate the pregnancy and sadly dies herself. solving Constantine's problems, and probably leaving Helena with a ton of guilt. Or so goes the theory. Honestly, any of these could be true. We're dealing with family drama from over 1600 years ago, and it was obviously hushed up as much as possible by Constantine himself. Please check the links in the description for more info on all these theories. The rumours of the murders reached Rome ahead of Constantine, which didn't improve the Romans' already low opinion of their emperor. Rome was still infested with pagan traditions and culture, and while Christianity may have been popular in the East, in the West, and especially in Rome, it was the religion of the lower classes. The frigid reception he received just proved to Constantine that Rome was a fossil, a pagan relic that called back to another era. Its stubborn residents, pagan temples, and financial troubles had disqualified it for being the central city of the empire. Constantine just ticked all the boxes and the things he was required to do and got the hell out of Rome as fast as possible. It was the last time that this Roman emperor would actually be in Rome. And just after leaving Rome, Constantine's mother, Helena, went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. It may well have been due to all the guilt or sadness she felt at the whole CRISPUS and FAUSTA kerfuffle. While in the Holy Land, she just happened to have stumbled across the cross that Jesus was crucified on and built some hospitals and orphanages while she was at it, all while in her 70s. Helena most likely died there and became a Christian saint and the first recorded Christian pilgrim. So, let's get back to Byzantium. Constantine wanted to transform this into a city worthy of his namesake. It's said that he traced the walls of Constantinople himself, stretching from about here to here, around 4 kilometers, encompassing an area 5 times greater than that of Rome and tripling the size of old Byzantium. Surely it would take a lifetime to build and populate this new city. You've all heard how Rome wasn't built in a day, but Constantine wanted the city completed by 330 AD. That's just 6 years after the project had begun. But Constantine tends to get what Constantine wants. And there was a ferocious amount of activity as architects, builders and craftsmen poured in from around the empire. It must have appeared a miracle to those watching this whirlwind of construction, mostly paid for from Licinius's liberated treasury. Constantinople was to be all that Rome was and better. From the gates of the city ran a long colonnaded street called the Messi, along which craftsmen and shopkeepers could set up their stalls. In the city centre was the Forum, in the centre of which lay a giant column atop to the statue of the sun god Apollo. However, his head had handily been replaced with that of Constantine's. Underneath the column, Constantine is said to have buried the axe Noah used to build the ark, a basket used in Jesus' miracle of the loaves and fishes, and a tiny statue of Athena that was brought to Rome from Troy. The city had a hippodrome that could hold 100,000 spectators. He even had a special boot built for himself that was connected to the imperial palace by way of secret tunnel. Reception halls, government offices, apartments, houses and barracks sprang up. Powerful senatorial families were enticed to move from important cities across the empire to Constantinople by promises of positions in the new senate. And according to St. Jerome, Constantinople required that all other cities be stripped naked. And he wasn't wrong. The Serpent Column, an already ancient statue built to celebrate the Greek victory over the Persians, was taken from Delphi and placed in the Hippodrome. Statues of famous ancients like Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar and the original Augustus were all taken from across the empire and moved to Constantinople. The city must have looked like a giant open-air museum of the Greco-Roman world. Then there was the Million, 4 triumphal arches together from which all distances in the empire were measured, effectively making Constantinople the centre of the world. Constantine celebrated his 25th anniversary of being in power in the city, and festivities went on for days, at the end of which, during a mass in the newly consecrated Saint Irene, the city was formally consecrated on the 11th of May 330 AD. Constantine called it Nova Roma, New Rome, but everyone else called it Constantinople, the city of Constantine. Tune in to the next episode to find out which one of our major characters sharts themselves to death. Yeah, it's gonna get weird. I hope you enjoyed this episode and please leave your feedback in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my sources in the description if you'd like more information. There's only so much I can cover. If you'd like to support the show, there's links to my t-shirt store below. Thanks for watching.